I got to ask you the question, and I have thoughts. I have lots of thoughts, but that's why I want to get yours and hear yours. Did he do enough yesterday to say, yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a stud and maybe they don't need anybody else in that receiving room?
He did enough to prove to everybody who said that he was going to be a non-factor that they were wrong, right? Because everybody said, well, because the Steelers don't have anybody else, George Pickens is going to be taken out of the game.
Yes.
They had A.J. Terrell on George Pickens for most of yesterday. He was not taken out of the game by any means. He made the biggest plays for the Steelers offense in the biggest moments for the Steelers offense. They dialed it up. They got what they wanted, and it ended up working out in their favor. He can do that. Now, as far as what's behind him, yeah, it's a little concerning. They combined for 2 receptions for 8 yards. Receivers not named George Pickens. But what you did see is a lot of tight end usage. What you did see is a lot of opportunities to try to get running backs the ball out in space. But what you saw more of is exactly what we expected. This is a run-first offense. They're going to run it down your throat, 3-4 yards a clip, and just try to move the sticks as much as they can to keep the possession in their hands and to run the clock out so their defense doesn't have to be on the field as much. They did that to perfection yesterday. So while that is a good sign, and we'll talk more about Arthur Smith later, as far as the wide receivers are concerned, yeah, you'd hope to get a little bit more talent in that room, and I'm sure Omar Khan is well aware of that, and you'd hope to get a little bit more production out of receivers not named George Pickens when it comes to 2 receptions for 8 yards. You're going to need more of that in the future against teams that are going to be a little bit more difficult to go up against.
What's up, guys? It's football season, and we've teamed up with DraftKings. Right now, new customers who bet $5 will receive $250 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, you'll receive 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. It's hard to think of a better way to celebrate fall weather, your favorite jersey, and Sunday touchdowns than with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings app and use our promo code ALLSteelers. That's $250 in bonus bets instantly and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium after betting just $5. Stay in the action and use your $250 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You could still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, I agree. Look at George Pickens quieted all my concerns yesterday when it comes to George Pickens, because there were the thoughts, like you said, of is George Pickens going to get shut down? Is this going to be okay, you could double team George, and you will find double teams with George that he is unable to beat. Those will happen. But there are teams throughout time that have one really good wide receiver and nobody behind them, and they make that work quite well. And there are a lot of teams in the NFL today that fall into that same tax bracket there. And I think George Pickens, we knew George Pickens was a star. I would be stunned if George Pickens is not a top 10 wide receiver, maybe higher by the end of the season, because what I saw yesterday was unbelievable. Like body control that does not exist. That should not, he is an alien, and he's been an alien, and just reminded us in, I think it was his first catch of the game, second catch of the game, was just, yeah, I could do that, and that's fine. That's no big deal. He gets open. His route running is so much better than it's been the last 2 seasons, which is so key to the Steelers, and his ability to locate the football is second to none. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers could get an offense that finds him open more times than not, I think that your receiving game will be just fine. He is a stud. He's a superstar. I can't say it enough. Like I said it 2 years ago, the first day OTA practice, 3 years ago, the first day OTA practice, and people freaked out on me. And I will continue to bring that up because it is so unbelievably undeniable that George Pickens is going to be a monster in the NFL for years to come. And he's just getting started. When it comes to the rest of them, yeah. You know, I was a guy who I was feeling confident in the Van Jefferson over 11.5 receiving yards. There's just no way that wasn't going to happen. Pat Freiermuth had like 28 yards or something like that, and I thought he was utilized well for the situation that he was in. And don't get me wrong, you have to also acknowledge that Justin Fields missed Van Jefferson wide open in one play and missed somebody else open almost 3 or 4 plays later. And that plays a role. But overall, you do need somebody. I will say that the Steelers don't need a Brandon Ayuk. They're fine without a Brandon Ayuk, but they could use John Mechie. They can use a Cortland Sutton. They could use, I don't want to say Traylon Burks. He played terrible yesterday, but they could use those guys. They could use a number 2 who's probably better than Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. And maybe that number 2 is Roman Wilson. Maybe that guy could be Roman Wilson. And we have to wait and find that out. But the Steelers have to find that guy. And I think that's the top of their priority list right now is, okay, who is that guy? Is it going to be Roman? Can we get Roman back in week 2? If they could get Roman back in week 2, I feel confident about the situation. If they can't, maybe you start looking on the outside because I just don't think that Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin are enough. And I'm a big Calvin guy. And I think that if the offense slowed down, maybe you could figure it out. But you got to put your money where your mouth is. And yesterday he did not do that. Neither did Van Jefferson. It's a concern. Again, I don't think you need a massive wide receiver, but I do think you need something on the other side of George Pickens before you're comfortable with where the Pittsburgh Steelers are.